Western officer, distinguished reviewers, Dr. David Holloway, Dr. Rafat Hussain, Dr. Rabia, Akhtar, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum and a very good evening. I consider it a privilege to have the opportunity to participate in today's event marking the launching of Dr. Rabia's book, The Blind Eye, US Non-Proliferation Policy Towards Pakistan from Ford to Clinton. My felicitations and appreciation for her commendable effort. This objective and meticulously researched book, I have no doubt, is a valuable addition to references on the somewhat checkered history of US-Pakistan relations. It also vividly highlights the daunting challenges that Pakistan had to overcome in its quest for structuring a credible nuclear deterrence and safeguarding its vital, legitimate security and sovereignty interests. I would also like to thank Ambassador Nafisa, Dr. Rabia, and the organizers of today's event for collecting such a galaxy of specialists to be part of today's deliberations on the profound issues that the book has addressed. It's been my considered view that increasing awareness and meaningful participation of our indigenous strategic community, academia, and the media in the nuclear debate is essential for consolidation of Pakistan's nuclear learning. I personally have always been looking forward to the participation of the younger generation in this process, and I'm pleased that Dr. Rabia, who represents that generation, has acquired the credentials to speak authoritatively on these issues. Well done, Rabia. There are two subjects the book highlights. First, Pakistan's nuclear journey, and second, the roller coaster nature and history of US-Pakistan relations. Rabia has rightly paid homage to the Pakistani leadership and diplomacy, which did not compromise on Pakistan's vital national interests despite daunting challenges, and navigated Pakistan through troubled relations with the United States. I also fully endorse Rabia's desire and effort to seek a reset of US-Pakistan relations and offer this book as a contribution in this endeavor. However, we have to be very careful in even hinting that the blind eye towards Pakistan was in any way a concession to Pakistan, and that we have a debt to repay on this account. What the book clearly brings out is that the US policies were not based on any pristine principles or any commitment to the objectives of the international proliferation regime. Consequently, we witness variations in policy priorities, and we find that these principles or policies were subject to real politics or foreign policy objectives. It would also be very interesting to look at how the US eyed proliferation elsewhere, be it vertical or horizontal, and it will then put the so-called blind eye in its true perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, we well know that the US-Pakistan relationship is an unequal relationship. Consequently, its impact, the impact of policies, would also be unequal. We have to be conscious that the impact on Pakistan, which is the smaller partner in this relationship, would be much more than it would be on the United States. Let me also highlight that although the book covers the period from 1974 to 2001, there is a fair amount of constancy and continuity in this policy till this day, which is best reflected in the current dehyphenation of Pakistan and India, and the double standards, or let me say multiple standards in application of non-proliferation regime, which in a sense discredits the regime and weakens the international norms on nuclear non-proliferation. To the contrary, as is clearly brought out in the book, policy of coercion or compellence cannot influence the behavior of a state the size of Pakistan that is determined to safeguard its vital national interests. A few words about Pakistan's nuclear program. And I'm going to only highlight the well-known facts. First, it is not driven by any ambitions or great power delusions. It is a mere manifestation of our legitimate existential national security concerns, which Dr. Rabia so clearly enunciates in the book. Second, there is a total national consensus on the nuclear status and nuclear program in Pakistan. This is something which our detractors sometimes ignore. Consequently, as a result of this national consensus, it is not possible for any leadership, any administrators, any diplomats, or any decision makers to work against this national consensus, which actually has gone ingrained into the national ethos as essential for Pakistan's survival as a sovereign, independent state. Third, we must realize that Pakistan is not in an arms race with anybody, including India. But the threat that we face is dynamic, and consequently, expecting that the threat response would be static or frozen is neither realistic nor fair. Pakistan's threat response will be dynamic and will relate to how the threat materializes. Specifically, in the case of India, unfortunately, it's not merely the nuclear capability. There are the destabilizing military doctrines which have come into place. And above all is the changing internal dynamic in India as a consequence of the Hindutva dominating Indian thinking. And ladies and gentlemen, those of you who have closely looked at the Hindutva doctrine, it's a very, very aggressive, very militant, and a very intolerant doctrine which can drive the nuclear doctrine or the nuclear capacity or capability of India into a very destabilizing and dangerous phenomenon. Just like India had proliferated into South Asia, it is now nuclearizing the Indian Ocean region, further enhancing the danger in this region. Unfortunately, the Indian militarization and nuclearization of the Indian Ocean is supported by the United States and other Western countries. A few words about the US-Pakistan relations. I only hope the very important observations and historical lessons that Dr. Rabia's book has highlighted will be noted in the United States, and they will try and derive the right lessons. The most important is that coercion, as I said, and compellence will not work in a situation like this. This is a lesson brought out by the book and by our experiences in US-Pakistan nuclear relations, and presently in the case of so-called South Asia strategy of the present US administration. On the contrary, engagement, mutual trust, and reciprocal respect is the way to move forward and to be able to develop better relations between Pakistan and the United States. Fortunately, in the changing international and regional environment, Pakistan have more strategic options. But let me sound a word of caution. These options are very good, but I personally feel the United States and our relationship with the United States is still indispensable. And what we can get from the United States, what we are already getting from the United States, may not be available from these other options. So we have to keep our strategic balance on this line. I just wanted to focus on this word blind eye, which I'm sure Rabia must have also picked up from the New York Times, which was probably a narrative at that time that was built up, that the United States is intentionally turning a blind eye towards Pakistan nuclear program. I just want to tell you that time is a big healer, and with the passage of time you forget what happened at that time. But this blind eye was not so benign, it was not so permissive, and it was never so friendly and comfortable for Pakistan. You will recall the 1977 destabilization of Prime Minister Bhutto. And when it came out, and it came out openly in the media, and it is still, that opinion is still held in Pakistan, that his regime, his government was destabilized as a consequence of Pakistan's nuclear program. So that discomfort, it may now seem that they are doing us a great favor by looking the other way, but it was never like that. It was never so soft and so easy. You would recall, of course, there were references to the French reprocessing plant. It was not so easy for Pakistan. And we recall the F-16 saga. And all these negative narratives were developed about Pakistan, which continue to persist. So when we say that a blind eye, I would only request you to look at the present situation. Now, when you look at the present US policy, it may not, you will find that whether it is the IMF and what the Secretary of State is telling us, or what they will do with the CPAC, or whether it is the FATF, or whether it is the lingering concerns about many other restrictions coming on Pakistan. Please remember, we have been through this in the so-called blind eye period. It is very important to remember this part of the history. So I just wanted to say that it may not be so easy, not be such a great favor to Pakistan that we have to owe the United States something to pay back for the blind eye. Finally, I personally feel the US needs to very carefully look at Pakistan's nuclear status and the discriminatory policy towards Pakistan in the context of a very good example that has been set in the region by the way Pakistan and India were simultaneously inducted into the Shanghai Cooperation Organizations. It was a very similar situation like the NSG that we are facing today, with China blocking the Indians and the United States leading the charge on Pakistan, that Pakistan will not be a member of the NSG. And the same was the situation in the case of the NSG, the Shanghai Cooperation Organizations. The Russians didn't want us, the Chinese didn't want the Indians. And then the two of them got together and said, look, why not have them come in together? My recommendation would be for the United States and other members, the nuclear weapon states, the nuclear powers in the NPT, to review this status of the outlier states, both in the context of the NPT, as well as look at Pakistan and India in the context of the NSG. And in my view, that, and I'm sure this is the view of many other people, it will strengthen the international non-proliferation regimes rather than undermining them. In the end, I would once again like to congratulate Dr. Rabia for a commendable effort, and certainly I would add some excellent reviews, Rabia, that we have received from these eminent reviewers. I would like to add my voice.